Wayne Anderson, this is your life. We got a lot to talk about. Thanks for being a part of this. Right off the bat, let's talk about faith. You knew at a young age you accepted Christ. At what age and how did it all come about?
Just before my 9th birthday. I'm the oldest of 5 children, so I don't think the whole family was even born yet when I accepted Christ. But 1945, you weren't alive, so you probably don't remember, the atomic bomb was dropped in Japan. And for several weeks, my Sunday school teacher talked about the bomb and how you needed to know Christ as your Savior in case it came to our city, you know. Wow. Well, my family went to church Sunday morning, Sunday evening, and Wednesdays. You know, we were there a lot. My dad was a deacon, and I was under conviction. I needed to be saved. We sat in the back row of the church because all the kids, Mom had to be close to the cry room with the baby, you know. So it's invitation time. Sermon is over. I'm holding on to the back of the seat in front of me, tears running down my eyes, because I know I needed to go, but there's a lot of people out there, and I'm just a little guy. I was scared to do it. And my dad's hand on my shoulder says, "I'll go with you." So there, I went forward, counseled with a man who happened to be my dad's boss at the post office, and that was it. That was when I accepted Christ.
We've done quite a few of these. We've never begun in such dramatic fashion. That is spectacular. How has your faith been a part of your everyday life?
Well, as I got older and started with the family and everything, we had moved from Des Moines to St. Louis area by then. A church in North County made me a deacon. Certain things you have to do to go through that. But so I'm a deacon ever since then. As we've relocated to different parts of the county, changed churches, they find out you're a deacon, well, they'll just add you to the list. You're already ordained, you know, so.
How about your bride, Charlotte, in all this and her faith? She became a Christian at a young age, or did you bring her to the Lord?
She had made a profession early, but she didn't feel it was right. So the first church we went to down in the St. Louis area, she went forward one Sunday morning and took care of that.
How much of your faith and her faith have had to do with being married for 68 years?
Oh, I learned to be, both of us, you have to learn to be acceptable to the other person. You have to be concerned about their needs more than your own. It's just God's way of we should do things.
Yeah. How about during the course of a day? Are you in constant communication with the Lord?
Yes. As needs come up, or if I find something going wrong with my kids, my grandkids, or even my great-grandkids, which we haven't even mentioned, I pray for them.
And you believe from the bottom of your heart that consistent, fervent prayer matters.
I do, yes.
That's great. All right, let's go back a ways. Middle school, you end up at a tech school. How does that happen?
Well, you're in the middle school, or as we call them, junior high, and when it's time to go to high school, you have an interview with a advisor, and they ask you, are you interested in the tech school, or you want to stay in a regular public school? And you get to choose. Well, I knew I wanted to be involved in television, which was brand new, you know, in the years we're talking about. So the advisor sets it up for you to go to the tech, and when you're there, the first several months, you get to taste electronics. Then they'll send you to where auto repair and those kinds of choices you get to make where you want to spend the rest of your high school career for the next 2.5 years or whatever.
Give us an idea of just how, I hate to use the word, but prehistoric TV was. Like now I could watch on my phone, basketball games in Los Angeles while I'm driving in Creve Coeur. Like just how primitive was like the early stages of TV.
It was very primitive because, like you say, you grab your phone now and think about something. Phones, the first portable phone that came into my eyes, a client coming into Channel 30 to record a commercial, had a briefcase next to him. I get a new briefcase? Said, no, that's my phone. You open it up, and there was all kinds of gadgets in there. That was one of the first portable phones that I became aware of.
How about TV and like the advancements now as opposed to like what you had to endure early?
You wonder sometimes if they are advancements, but just the equipment, everything was, like you say, primitive. Yeah. It was large. It was easily repairable with a pair of pliers and a soldering iron or something. I wouldn't dare touch something nowadays. Those microscopic electronics, they just throw them away and put another one in,
How about were you part of newscast also?
The stations don't put maintenance type people in.
You were the engineer.
Yeah.
But when I first started in the mid 80s, there's those big, huge, bulky 3/4 inch tapes. But you had to deal with film, right?
Started out with film, and when we built Channel 30, we did have videotape machines, but they were the 2-inch wide reel, the big ones, Yeah.
Holy cow, that is great. All right, so in terms of like big events, or in your varied jobs as an engineer in television for all those decades, where were you most alive? Where did you really enjoy it the most? You just love kind of going to work.
I think all the road work, sports. I've done championship golf. I've done Olympics. If you can believe this, my Olympics was women's fast pitch softball.
Roughly what year was that?
When was we decided that, Bubba? Was in the 90s somewhere. Yeah.
Really?
96.
Oh, 96 in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was there, yeah.
And my venue was not outside Atlanta, almost out of the state to the southwest.
Okay.
And these teams are from all over the world, and they do things different than, the pitcher doesn't necessarily stay on the mound and pitch. After every pitch, the girls all ran to the mound and they chat and go back. Those games took forever because they were all over the place,
You said championship golf. Were you a part of a U.S. Open or a Masters or a PGA?
Masters. I did a Masters.
You did the Masters?
Kind of we were there, and our truck was working for the Japanese broadcast folks. So the truck provided a studio coverage, but we had feeds from CBS for all the stuff they wanted. That's running a lot of cable and making hookups.
And a big part of your career has been connected with the Cardinals. Tell me about that.
Yeah. Well, when I first went to it was called Laclede Communications at that time. It was a sub-part of the Laclede gas company, owned this production house. And the production house had 2 trucks, 2 buses, really. One of them had the cameras in it, the other one had the switching equipment. That was my first experience with remotes. And as things went along, we went to semis and more equipment, all needed to do television. So I don't know if that helped you understand it or not.
It did. And I remember, I know your son Bubba real well. You were one of the first, did you have your own truck?
Oh, no. When we say own truck, it means I'm the engineer in charge of that truck.
Yeah.
So anything that happens is my fault.
And you were all over the country. Like, how many states did you actually work in?
The only one I haven't worked in is Alaska.
Wow. That is amazing.
We've been in Hawaii and all 48 years,
Yeah, I always thought that you actually owned the truck, but you were just in charge of the truck. Okay.
No, I got to fly to a lot of those locations. You didn't have to drive.
And then you were actually on top of the KSDK tower also to remove and replace non-working microwave amplifiers.
Yeah, I wanted you to know that I'm a coward. I don't like heights. But while my tenure at Channel 5 was in the maintenance department, and they didn't put any pressure on me, but asked me if I could do that. That tower is, well, the studio is right downtown. Everybody knows where that is. The tower is out in South County.
Talking about the Higgy Road?
Yeah, and it's over 1,000 foot tall. And it had the receive site for microwave from the news vans. When they wanted to send a feed back to the studio, it hit an antenna at the top of the tower, and some electronics had failed. So I don't know if you know people at Channel 5 years ago. Bakar, I think, was the assistant chief. He came up with the proper jackets and all the straps and everything I needed, put me in the elevator. It took me up as far as it could go. Then I had to climb another few feet on steel and get out to the outside leg of the tower with a screwdriver, take the screws out of this little box, remove the part from inside, put the box back together, get on the elevator and go down. Next day, I took the new part up and redid what I had done day one. And I still today don't know what made me do that, because I am deathly scared of heights. And now I don't even get on a 1 or 2 foot ladder unless I can hang on to something, So it must have been the Lord involved in it, because it wasn't me.
Wow. And, we were talking about advancements earlier, but yeah, just think on every one of those live shots, you had to raise it and then somehow connect with the tower.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then on Thursday, I'm going to be in Wichita covering the NCAA tournament, and we'll have a piece of machinery like this big and just go up live by just turning it on.
Right.
It's crazy.
Advancements, they call it.
Yeah. So that's an advancement that's a plus. What's something you don't like about the current times, or you long for the good old days?
Well, the good old days, you'd be a lot younger and still able to do things. But I don't think about that, about what I would do different, do better.
So you did, a lot of traveling.
Yes.
How did that weigh on the family with the kids in Charlotte?
Well, what do you think? He turned out all right.
It turned out okay, yeah.
And he was third in line. He's had two big brothers. He lost the first one to cancer back in several years ago. And he has a sister she's the youngest. We had 3 boys and then sister. So ask him.
Yeah. Well, your son David was like a legend in the business too. How often do you think about him?
Quite often.
He was something special, wasn't he?
Yep.
Yeah.
He came out of high school and thought he wanted to be a machinist. And after he spent some time in a machine shop, he realized he didn't want to be a machinist. And he got into television, and he became an excellent camera operator. And you talk about working with the announcers. He was in the booth with them doing high home camera with Danny Mac and all the older ones all the way back.
And there wasn't anybody in the business who didn't love him or really respect his work.
Everybody knew Bubba.
Yeah, and same with Bubba at Channel 5.
Yeah.
He was one of our most popular employees. All right, so what about some broadcasters that you were with over the years? You've pretty wide range there. If you go Harry Carey to his grandson, Chip.
Well, the only reason I mentioned Harry Carey is that there's a 3-year period when the station in Lafayette, Indiana, owned our truck. We worked for WGN Chicago. We did all the Cubs games for 3 years. So you meet these people and around them, and they know who you are, and especially when they want something fixed.
So I'll say a name, and you give me a quick thought. Like Harry Carey.
Funny.
How about Jack Buck?
A real gem of a guy to work with. Very good.
How about Mike Shannon?
A little louder.
How about Danny Mac?
I respected Denny Mac. It's been mentioned here to you today that he did the obit at our son's funeral. So, and I think he should probably still be an announcer for the Cardinals, but somebody evidently didn't want him there anymore because he made a mistake and got drunk.
Yeah. Well, he's still young. Hopefully he's got another chance. All right, so when you're not, in this business, which was captivating and all-consuming, what kinds of things did you do when you weren't at work? And what did you enjoy doing? Did you golf or did you do anything like that?
No, I wasn't into sports myself. And you don't get a lot of enjoy time when you travel and you're just home for 2 days. You try to get the laundry done and make sure everything's good with bills being paid and all that, and you're back on the road again.
Like in a 52-week year, like in the prime of your career, how many weeks would you be on the road?
During the time that we were owned by the West Coast Company, we worked every week. We were doing some kind of sports.
And so we're talking, you would sometimes be on the road 52 weeks a year, and that's not 7 days a week, though, is it?
No, you get like a 3-day homestand of baseball, and then the truck's got to move, and we jump on a plane and come home.
Oh, that's great. What about pay in the beginning of your career in television, and as opposed to how it ended? A dramatic difference there too, right?
Yeah, I think it. In Des Moines, the first job I had with when I was married, we were paying $1.25 per hour.
$1.25 an hour. So
Yeah.
what do you think? That's like $40 a week, or what is it? No. Yeah, no, $50 a week.
Yeah. And when we moved to St. Louis was because KPLR had got the permits and all, and they were starting to build their studio. They sent somebody to Des Moines and said, "Hey guys, we got openings in St. Louis, and it's 175 or whatever a week."
Oh, that kind of increase.
And so you found guys going from Des Moines. There were 6 of us left one television station in a matter of a month and a half, 2 months at the most, all moved to KPLR. And I found out later they had done the same thing in Milwaukee. There was 6 guys from a Milwaukee station. So that was our original crew at KPLR.
Wow.
The way they handled that, the guys would come and they would schedule you for a 10-day work, 4-day off, you could go home. And they provided in their apartments, they cleaned all the furniture out and put beds in every room. That's where we slept. So we didn't have to pay any rent.
Yeah.
So we had a place to sleep, and then on our 4 days off, you jump in your car and drive home. So
Was that a Ted Koppler move? Or
It would probably been his brother or his dad.
yeah. Well, that's terrific.
Yeah.
That's really impressive.
That's how they got their staff, is they offered more money than you were making in your small market. And
How did you get by though when you were making $1.25 an hour?
I think we ate at Mom and Dad's often.
Is that right? And both of your parents were in Des Moines?
Yeah.
Okay.
My parents and her parents.
Yeah. So let's talk about the marriage a little bit with Charlotte. 68 years and counting as we speak. How did you meet her the first time, and how did you fall in love?
We met at church. The one we were attending then was called Capital City Baptist. Des Moines is the capital city. And I was playing the organ, and she was in the choir. And we kind of connected. Started dating and went on from there.
First date was what?
Oh, just after church, I'd drive her home, or, just to be around.
And how did you propose to her?
I don't really remember. It just happened.
Yeah. Did you have time to go on a honeymoon or money to go on a honeymoon at that
No.
time? Just got married and moved in?
Got married. We had rented an apartment, and her honorary brother, while we were being married, was under the hood of my car and put bad-smelling cheese on the hot parts,
Just to mess with you?
Yeah, oh yeah, that's things you used to do,
And then when you and your bride come to St. Louis after you get that raise to go to KPLR, where'd you live when you first came to town?
The very first place we rented was North County. I can't remember the name of the subdivision, but we lived on Walker Street, and that was north and east of where 270 and 367 are nowadays. It was further out. It's a totally different kind of neighborhoods now. So.
Yeah. So you consider yourself a St. Louisan now?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It must have been kind of difficult if you're both from Des Moines and her parents are there and your parents are there, and all of a sudden you up and take their daughter away and you come to St. Louis.
Well, they got them down here once in a while.
Yeah.
But, my parents obviously are gone. Her parents are gone. My siblings are all gone. I'm the oldest of the family, and the four younger ones have all passed on already. Her brother died. Her sister died. So I don't know that she has any other family up there now except the brother-in-law and the sister-in-law of the other marriages.
Yeah.
So.
You're 88 now, correct?
I am, yes.
So what do you, how do you attribute, A, your longevity, and B, how sharp you are at this age?
Well, I have been known to pray that the Lord would keep me as long as Charlotte's alive so I can take care of her.
That's great.
It's important to me that I don't go off and leave her. Even though my sons would step in and help, they have. When I was down in heart problem here back in September, I was in the hospital for, was it 9 days? 9 days in a row. And it takes a long time to get back your full strength. I'm feeling good now, but I've had some bad days.
And you didn't want to leave this earth because you didn't want to leave her alone.
Exactly.
Yeah. But do you want to live on this earth without Charlotte living?
I think I could, because I'm kind of a strong-willed guy. Not that that's a good thing, but I like to be in charge and make sure everybody's got what they need. So.
Yeah, sometimes I think even though I want to live really long and see grandkids grow up and everything, I don't know if I want to live without my wife on this earth. I don't know. But that's great. But what about you physically? You mentioned the heart, but still at 88, you're in great shape. You look good. What do you attribute that to?
It can't be because I've been a good caretaker of myself. When you're on the road doing sporting events, you probably live on hamburgers. And while they're good, they're probably not what doctors would recommend.
But you also appreciate fine dining. You say you used to go to Kemal's a lot. You have a taste for good food?
Oh, yeah. Like that a lot.
What are some of your other famous or favorite places in town that you and your bride would go to from time to time?
Oh, seems like anymore we've just got 3 or 4 places we go. It's
like.
They're just neighborhood places out there in St. Charles County.
How about the grandfather experience? That must really just be incredible. Tell me about that.
Okay. We have, if I remember this correctly, we have 7 grandkids and 7 greats.
Wow. And
the greats are now, the youngest one is just having her 2nd birthday. And her mom likes the whole family to come in for a birthday party. Well, it's in Southern Illinois, and the doctors have kind of recommended that I not drive a lot on places I'm not familiar with, So it's hard for Charlotte and I to get down there without breaking doctor rules.
Yeah. Are you like a great grandparent? Are you really good at being a grandparent?
Well, for those little people, yes, I think I am. But they're down there in Southern Illinois now, so I only get to see them once in a while.
Tell me about your secrets to fatherhood, because I've known Bubba for a long time, and he's always spoken so reverently about you. What's the key to being a good father, and why did you succeed at it?
You trapped me here. I don't know.
What'd you try to do?
Well, I think we tried to do what my parents did, is get them in church, get them in Bible teaching, where they understand it, they grow up with it from day one.
Yeah, I noticed this one thing on my notes here. All my children and grandchildren have made professions of faith.
Exactly.
So all the things you've done in television, that is more important than any of them, isn't it? Yeah. You ever talk Jesus with them?
I haven't. I just pray for them.
Yeah. It's amazing because, especially nowadays, to have 100%. So you have 7, we're talking about 11 people here, and they're all Christians. That's great. That's awesome. All right, let's get into more of the marriage thing. So why do you think things clicked there? Why did you guys, let's face it, 1 out of every 2 end in divorce, even more than that nowadays. Why have you been able to maintain 68 years of happiness?
Another question I didn't expect. I think when you're both Christians, you treat each other different maybe than worldly people would. I don't know. I try not to do anything to hurt her or make her mad or anything. And that's hard.
Yeah.
Because just tough.
What about like her most endearing attributes?
Well, she tries to be my mother too, which means boss me around.
Oh.
But she's concerned about my health. She reminds me that I'm not allowed to eat certain foods.
Huh.
Do not eat tomatoes because those seeds will cause problems, and that type of thing. She's concerned daily.
Yeah.
More than I am, really.
By the way, if it's knowing that you have a good taste for good food, what are you missing? Like the doctor said, you can't have this, and it's really ticking you off. What do you miss?
Well, for a day or two, you might miss it, but she tells me, don't eat that. I don't eat that.
Yeah. Are you allowed to have red meat?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. And how about can you have a cold beer?
I have chosen my entire life to never touch it, so I don't know.
Wow. So being on those television crews where you have late nights and seemingly that's a group that would drink some to wind down.
Never tasted a beer. I have drank a small glass of wine.
Just a small glass.
Yeah, but to drink other alcoholic beverages doesn't even appeal to me.
Wow, that may be something that has to do with you being so sharp and such great shape. Yeah.
I don't know.
I bet, like, what was it like after, like, a big game or something, and you guys are all at a restaurant and everybody's drinking and you're not?
I probably didn't even go to that restaurant.
Okay.
Head for the hotel room or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about any, like, cardinal moments that we haven't really discussed? Like big games or, like, big moments in St. Louis that you were a part of that you remember? Anything jump out at you?
No. Bubba mentioned one where the Pope was in town.
Oh, yeah.
And big parade. We were involved in the parade, but that's the only part I remember. We weren't in where he was going. He was going to
The Dome.
and
Yeah.
I think he had another location too, where the
Enterprise, I think, yeah.
big crowds followed him everywhere he went. But I just didn't. Baptists don't go to Catholic meetings, I guess.
You know, when you think about it, when you just mentioned some of the things you were involved in, what is that like knowing that I know you're a very humble man and don't want to take credit for it, but because of your work and your team, you were able to bring all these incredible events like into the living rooms of like everybody, you know, in St. Louis or around the country.
Mm-hmm.
But what's that? I mean, that must have been a really like rewarding career when you think about it.
Yeah, at the time you're wrapping up for the day or the week, whatever. It's a lot of work, but you lean back and think about it. We just did something that hadn't been done before, or that type of stuff. Do the Olympics? The whole world could watch that.
Yeah, boy, that's really amazing when you think about it. How about we all have moments that were embarrassing in our careers. I could list 10 of them right now where I just totally screwed up. How about yourself? Did you ever have as good as you were at your job, ever have a moment where it didn't work out?
I'm sure I did. I just don't remember. You try to forget them.
Yeah, that's a good thing to do. You didn't make many mistakes.
I didn't even say that. I just always tried to work around it. If I made a mistake,
Yeah.
what can I do to fix it in a hurry?
Yeah. What about in terms of like moving forward in your life? I know you've retired, but what else do you want to do? I mean, what are your other like passions or dreams or goals, or what do you want to do? I mean, you could live for another 10 years.
What I want to do now is pray for our nation's leaders that my Social Security payment comes in every month.
Yeah.
Because that and a little bit we were able to save is what we live on.
How about any regrets in your life that I wish I would have done? I may have tried this, or do you think with the Lord with you all the time, you kind of made all the right decisions?
Well, I've never thought for a moment that I made the wrong decisions being in television. That was new when I started, and it's still going today. My last employer was at Channel 9. You probably have heard of that channel.
Yes.
And I started there in '08 when National Mobile said, we don't need you anymore. And the Marlowe family, who was kind of in charge of engineering at Channel 9, and opened the door as a freelancer. I can work when I wanted to and not work, just like the cameraman does. And
Yeah. So most of your career was spent as a freelance person.
yeah, uh, I was staff at the truck companies,
Okay.
but freelance since '08 until I retired in 2020. That was 12 years.
Yeah.
Worked at Channel 9. If I didn't want to work, all I had to do is let them know.
And you are part of the IBW,
Yes.
which is a terrific union. They've done great things. Would you agree?
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah. As they like
That
to
that was when we were working for National Mobile. Their local, and it covered the whole United States, was located in Los Angeles. And so when they actually called me and told me, we don't need you anymore, which was interesting. I was sitting on a tarmac waiting for a gate to open in an airplane, and I get a call and they say, we're retiring all the analog trucks. We don't need you anymore. I said, oh, okay. So next place was where I knew I had some friends. It was Channel 9, and it started just once or twice a week, and then it got to where he wanted me there every day, you know.
Yeah, when you're good at your job, even if you're freelance, you'll always have work, right?
And when I told him at 2020 in November, I was hanging it up, is because my wife had some more surgery, and she needed help. She needed me to be there. He tried to talk me. I can use you. I need you. I said, nah, Chris, I'm just not going to do it. So
And you were how old when you retired?
4 years ago, so I was 84.
Not many people retire at 84. That's great. And how is Charlotte's health now?
It's about the same. She has, like today, she woke up and she told me she hadn't slept all night. She was up every hour, you know. So it's day to day is different.
So your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren will probably see and hear this one day. What would you want them to know about your love for them?
Just that I do love them, even though we don't get to see them all that much. But Grandma and Grandpa have an address and a phone. We'd sure like to hear from you.
And what do they mean to you?
Mean everything. His daughter works with him. He knows what it's like to be together, and his younger daughter will be getting married in a year, and it'll be just him and Holly. He's going to learn what it's like, but it's great. It's really great.
So you've been to quite a few weddings here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What's that like? Just seeing your grandkids get married. That must be interesting.
It is. His son married actually while I was in the hospital with my heart problem. I just came home and it was their wedding day. I didn't get to see the wedding, didn't get the first night, but I did get to the night they were opening their gifts, just to be there and see it. And it's really good.
It must be nice to know that, because there's a lot of gentlemen who have lived as long as you, but I don't know many that have like these incredible relationships with their kids, no regrets about their careers. Life's gone pretty well for you, hasn't it?
Yes, it has. I'm very happy.
And you attribute it all to the Lord.
Exactly.
Yeah. How do you when you pray? Are you talking to the Lord? Are you in a conversational way? Are you praying on your hands and knees? Tell me about that.
The way I pray daily is at bedtime at night. I'll even be in bed and just talking to the Lord.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple for me.
Have you ever been rattled about anything, or do you always have?
Yes. decisions to be made.
Yeah, because you've had a lot of tough decisions to be made in that
And
fast career.
You turn them to the Lord.
You'd have that in your mind, even when split-second decisions. Lord, help me here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Boy, it's amazing more people don't figure this out.
Well, maybe you start when you're a kid and live with it the rest of your life. You know where the strength is from the Lord.
And your mom and dad's role, did they have a great marriage and that kind of set the tone?
Yes.
Like you saw your dad love your mom?
I did.
Yeah.
And after she passed away, probably a couple of year break, he remarried to a woman who was an umpteenth cousin or something. It was legal to marry, but he did. And when he died, we had his funeral in Omaha, which is where he was living, and then brought his body to be buried by my mother in Iowa. So.
Wow. Yeah, my dad always used to have this expression, this marriage was made in heaven and that's where it's going to end.
Yeah.
And likewise for yours, too.
Right.
Yeah. So anything else before we wrap up you'd like to say to your kids and grandkids who are going to watch this one day about your life?
Grandpa was a mean old guy.
Nothing could be further from the truth. Wayne Anderson, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.